Texas Governor Greg Abbott's story is one of resilience, but behind that strength is someone who's been by his side through it all, his wife, Cecilia.
I am so proud to have by my side my wife of 33 years, Cecilia.
They met back at the University of Texas at Austin. And yes, there's a love story here too. Word has it, Cecilia once serenaded him from behind a keyboard at her dorm. Sounds like a rom-com, right? Well, it only gets more emotional from there. Greg proposed to Cecilia in 1981 during a walk along San Antonio's Riverwalk. That same year they got married, and fun fact, they even share a birthday. It really does seem like they were meant to be. But just a few years into their marriage, life threw them a curveball no one could have expected. In 1984, Greg was out jogging in Houston when a 75-foot oak tree fell on him. He was just a newly graduated law student at the time. The accident left him paralyzed from the waist down. It wasn't just a fracture. It was a life-altering injury. Crushed vertebrae, broken ribs, damaged organs. Doctors inserted 2 steel rods near his spine that are still there to this day. Even as Greg lay in a hospital bed, facing a future he never imagined, he wasn't alone. Cecilia was right there. One of Greg's colleagues, Kent Sullivan, later said Cecilia was a pillar of strength for him. And not in the vague, supportive spouse way. Cecilia literally helped him get used to life in a wheelchair, made their home a place where friends could still gather for poker nights, and used her sense of humor to lift his spirits. It wasn't easy, but they got through it, together.
And it was after the accident that put me in the wheelchair that I went on to become a Supreme Court Justice, the longest-serving Attorney General, and now Governor of the great state of Texas, showing that anybody can achieve anything in this great state.
After 16 years of marriage, Greg and Cecilia's lives changed again. This time in the most joyful way, when they adopted their daughter, Audrey. And when asked about it, Greg didn't hold back. He said, "Of all the decisions I've made in my life, in politics or otherwise, adopting Audrey was the best one I've ever made." He talked about holding her for the first time and knowing instantly that she would be his top priority. "Give it your heart and soul," he said to anyone thinking of adopting. "You won't regret it."
Joys of our marriage and adopting our daughter Audrey showed me the depths of his love and commitment.
Audrey mostly keeps a low profile even though she grew up in the public eye. She's now working in the entertainment industry and event planning. She used to be active in her dad's campaigns too, appearing at several events throughout his political career.
And we are so proud of our teenage daughter, Audrey. Through her eyes, I see the future generations of Texas, and it looks pretty good.
More recently, she got engaged to her college sweetheart at a summer camp in front of family and friends. And yes, Governor Abbott proudly shared the moment online, clearly bursting with pride. Now let's talk about Cecilia, because she's not just the governor's wife. Far from it. She's the first Hispanic First Lady of Texas, and her own journey is pretty remarkable. The granddaughter of Mexican immigrants, Cecilia grew up in San Antonio in a family of educators. They raised her to value learning, hard work, and helping others. And she ran with that. She earned 3 degrees, psychology, education, and theology, and went on to become a teacher, a school principal, and later a leader in senior healthcare services. As First Lady, she launched Texanthropy, a statewide initiative to promote volunteerism and giving back. But she didn't stop there. Cecilia has also been a champion for foster care and adoption, especially through programs like the Heart Gallery. And she's deeply involved in efforts to combat child exploitation through the GRACE initiative. She serves on several nonprofit boards and is known for showing up, getting involved, and truly caring. Not just in front of cameras, but behind the scenes too. Greg and Cecilia's story is truly inspiring. And they're not the only ones. Another couple whose journey stands out in the Republican Party is Marco Rubio and his wife, Jeanette.
My most important job is a husband and a father, and I want to do that job as well as I can.
Jeanette, now 51, was raised in Miami by Colombian immigrant parents. Marco, whose parents came from Cuba, met her when he was 19, and she was just 17 at the West Miami Recreation Center. Yep, high school sweethearts in the making.
I was 19 and she was 17.
So did you know right away?
I did. I'm not sure she did.
After 7 years together, their relationship had grown, and Marco was ready to pop the question. at the top of the Empire State Building, no less. A scene straight out of a rom-com.
New York City has a special meaning for you.
Yeah.
Because?
I got engaged here.
Yeah.
Why that spot? Because Jeanette loved Sleepless in Seattle. He proposed on Valentine's Day. Now that's setting the bar high. He tried to incorporate something I liked, Jeanette once said.
So I got her up there, I proposed, and then I was afraid, I don't know why, it was this thing, thought she was gonna drop the ring off the side, so I grabbed the ring back, and then I gave it back to her when we got to the bottom.
Jeanette and Marco tied the knot in 1998 in Coral Gables, Florida, and have been building their life together ever since. Now, Jeanette isn't your typical political spouse. Sure, she used to be a cheerleader for the Miami Dolphins, but let's not stereotype. That chapter only lasted a year, and it wasn't her dream job. She wasn't that cheerleader type, said Jeanette's former teammate. She was more introverted than 95% of the team. And while Marco's political career kept accelerating, from local office to the state legislature to the Senate, Jeanette made it clear she wasn't chasing the spotlight. She preferred a life of stability and faith, focused on raising their 4 kids: Amanda, Daniela, Anthony, and Dominic.
It's amazing because I see so much of Marco in all of my kids. Daniela's passion, Amanda's very deep, loves to read books, and Anthony is the same way, and Dominic is just very charismatic, and I see so much of them in Marco.
Let's talk about that balancing act. Jeanette has always tried to protect family time. When Marco was serving in the Florida legislature, she would regularly travel up to Tallahassee with their kids. Friends saw it as her way of keeping family front and center in a world of late-night political deal-making. Even during his Senate campaign in 2010, Jeanette made it clear to the team, if he could be home at night, he should be.
You know, I think the absence away from home is tough on us.
So, what does Jeanette do now? Mostly she's focused on family. She attends Bible study, posts heartwarming family moments on Instagram, and keeps politics at arm's length. But that doesn't mean Jeanette hasn't influenced her husband's views. Far from it.
You know, it is what it is.
Mrs. Rubio is deeply committed to faith and family values. Over time, those values have shaped Marco's political stances, especially on issues like abortion. Friends say her convictions helped deepen his own. She even took him to a shelter for victims of child SA, which played a role in his decision to co-sponsor legislation to protect them.
I'm so proud of him and just what he's been able to accomplish.
Jeanette has also been active in community work, especially around human trafficking. She serves on Florida's statewide Council on Human Trafficking and is involved with Christie's House, a local organization supporting children who've survived abuse and trafficking. Earlier in her career, Jeanette worked for billionaire Norman Brahman, helping identify philanthropic causes. And no, she's not just sitting on the sidelines. When Marco's political team hit rough waters, some staffers even turned to Jeanette to help steer the ship. She became a quiet, yet powerful force behind the scenes, a gatekeeper and moral compass.
Marco, when he dives into something, when he wants to know about an issue, he's gonna know everything about it.
But don't expect to see Mrs. Rubio giving campaign speeches or chasing media attention. She's made her position clear. I'm not pushing myself out there. I need to be with the kids just to give them that balance, she told Politico. And that's pretty much been her approach from the start.
We are very blessed. Family's a gift. God has given us such a gift. I cannot be more thankful.
So what's the secret to their relationship? According to Marco, it's not just about feelings, it's about commitment. Love isn't just a feeling, he once said. It actually requires you to act on it. It's a sacrificial love.